How are you?
I'm good. We had a busy day, but it's beautiful outside.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
gorgeous. Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I just
Okay.
settled in and everything.
Everything is good. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks, God. Okay. I'm happy to hear that. And we can start anytime you want.
Okay, let me just um okay. I think the recording's on. Mhm.
Okay. Wonderful.
Okay. So today we're gonna talk about the camp.
Yes. About
So
the summer camps, the retreats, Innocence in Danger retreats, which we actually do only during school vacation. Sometimes it is not in summer, but mostly we do it during summertime. And um, I think what I will do, I will tell you how it started, why it started. It was in 2001. Innocence in Danger already existed since 1999. And I had a young boy who was helping me with my internet questions, my questions, technology questions, because, I'm another generation than you. And I needed help. So he was helping me for a couple of months until one day he called me and he said, Homayra, I need your help. We need your help because my sister, who is only 11 years old, um, refuses to talk. She is in a psychiatric ward of a hospital in Geneva, and she doesn't talk anymore. But all we know is that she was when my dad, his dad, when my dad picked her up at school, she was bleeding from down. So we don't know what happened, but probably something terrible happened because she doesn't talk anymore. So I told him that I would like to talk to his mother because he was this young man. He was a little bit too young. I didn't want to go into details of what I thought it could be. So I said, can I talk to your mom? So he passed me his mom the next day, the following day. I spoke to the mom, and because it was an adult, I told her that I had no certainty, no conviction that it is what I think, but we have to also accept that it could be um, a rape, it could be an accident, but we have to also consider that it could be a rape. She said, okay, yes. And she actually told me that from the minute she understood what she had physically, she also had thought that it could be a rape. But then the only problem we had was that she was at school. So it would have happened at school. This is what was very puzzling for her and for me. Nevertheless, as she didn't talk, we couldn't know what to do. So, what I asked the mother after a couple of months of her again not speaking, I told the mother what was her passion, what did she like the most in life before this happened, and she told me horse riding. I said, okay, fine. I'm going to call a friend of mine who has a stable and she has her own horses there. I will ask her if she would accept that we go to her place, um, and if your daughter can use the horses for a couple of days, like a week or so, you also should be there because this way she feels more secure. And and I promise you, nobody will talk to her, nobody will ask questions. It is just for her to be doing something she loves in a beautiful surrounding. And so she said, okay. We did that. We went to my friend's house, and this little girl was horse riding every day for hours. And we obviously, even though we were a few of us in the house during that stay, we all had um, we all consider that we are not going to ask any questions. We're not going to impose ourselves to this little girl. She will talk to us only if she wanted, if she wants to. And even during the meal hours, she was eating on her own with her mother, and we were eating aside because I understood that she didn't want the presence of other people around her. Probably she was still in shock, or she was ashamed, because sometimes when something like this happens wrongly, the victim thinks he or she has done something wrong. Anyhow, so I hadn't heard the sound of her voice until the day she was leaving. So um, she was hand in hand with her mother. They were leaving property. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. Uh, um, and then she decided um, to leave. Yeah, she was leaving with her mother. They were leaving the property when she turned to me and she said, Homayra, I'm going to talk. And this was the first time I heard the sound of her voice. And so they came back to their their hometown, and I basically stayed in touch with the mother, and I know that she testified and she explained what had happened to her. It was a rape. And the reason why the rape had taken place in the school is that it was four schoolmates a bit older than her who had done this. They had caught her in the changing rooms in the school, and two had taken her arms, two had taken her legs, and it was terrible story. But anyhow, I understood that she spoke after our stay together, so I decided to do this for children um, who are very impacted by a life experience. And as of then, I was inviting children. First, the numbers were not that big. I would invite the siblings of one family and not two families at the same time. So at the beginning, it was only siblings of one family. I was doing Christmas, I was doing Easter, and I was doing summer. And then when I saw the benefits of what we're doing, when I saw how the children love it to be in touch with nature, to do arts, to do horse riding, I decided to make the groups larger and invite each time for each session a number of children, like 15, 16 survivors with their siblings and a protecting parent. And it is true that from very early on, I was contacted by a child psychiatrist in Switzerland, who it was happening in Switzerland back then, only in Switzerland, which is not the case anymore. But he contacted me and he said that he has some children who are consulting him in his practice that probably would need to try these retreats next summer. So I invited them. They came with him. And the interesting point was that after only 3 days, he came to me and he said, Homayra, I don't know what you do. I don't know what is the reason, but I can see such a change in the children that I am following in my practice that it's absolutely mind-boggling. And I would like to work with you and come with you to bring children to your summer camps every summer. So that is how it started. And he was coming. He was a wonderful doctor, an expert. Unfortunately, he had a heart attack at a young age and passed away. But I did this with him for many years. And then the German Innocence in Danger decided to do the summer camps for German kids in Germany. Austria in Austria, Colombia in South America, Colombia, US in the US, and we were doing in Switzerland French-speaking children. And the reason behind this was that, you know, I organized workshops for the children, art therapy, music therapy, and of course horse riding, etc. But if as the beginning, I was having, for example, just to give you an example, which is a true example, I was having American kids, French kids, German kids, and American and Colombian kids. I needed to find for each workshop 4 artists who speak the language and who know, you know, so it became very complicated to bring them all together. And this is why when different Innocence in Danger offices decided to do it each in their own country, I totally embraced the idea. So basically, since 2007, 8, a few years after we started in Switzerland, we started hosting children in Austria, in Germany, in Colombia, in the United States, and the French-speaking children in Switzerland. And in 2010, a group of researchers from Münster University in Germany, who also had heard about the beneficial reaction of victims, of survivors to our retreats, they asked if they could run a study over 3 years on our summer retreats, which of course I accepted. They came, they were with us in 2010, 2011, 2012, and in 2013, they released the result of the study, which is very long, but to make it short, they basically recognized that these camps are therapeutic for the children and they are healing. And this was in 2013. Then a few years later, an American university, it was University of Michigan, ran the same study in on our summer camps in Colombia. It was more scientific than the one from Münster, because they were also taking samples of the saliva of children before and after. It's a very costly thing. I think we spoke about it last time. They went all the way. They had the money. You know, it was a research project. They also considered that our retreats are healing and therapeutic. And now, as we talk, as of this year, 2013, we are having a French university and a French researcher who is going to be with us in our summer camps in France for the same reason, to run a study. Actually, they are all impact studies, and it's very important to have these impact studies because they allow even me to understand the scale of the beneficial return in each victim, but it also maybe, I hope, will allow us to have a little bit more support from those who can sponsor children to benefit from our summer retreats. Because from day one, when I started Innocence in Danger, I didn't want that the financial situation of a parent become an obstacle for a child not to have access to justice, or not to have access to therapies or reconstruction. I wanted us to cover all the expenses, so I knew that no child will be left aside because his or her parents don't have the money. So because of that, the summer camps of Innocence in Danger, the retreats of Innocence in Danger are quite costly because we cover everything from A to Z. They don't spend a penny, basically. This way we can have children from all backgrounds, and it's a very beautiful melting pot for them also, because they are from all rides of life, you know, and they get together, they become very good friends. Sometimes they become really, you know, seriously good friends in life. They support each other during court hearings. I have seen some very beautiful examples of what the summer camps have done to bring kids together. So yeah, so this is about the summer camps. And right now, as we talk, I am in one of in two of our retreats. One retreat is only for Ukrainian children who don't have court cases ongoing, but who unfortunately are orphans and have no more parents, and they had no vacation. They are very good kids. They study very hard. So I decided that we offer them vacation. So they are in one facility, and we have another group who are French speaking, who all have court cases. In 2024, it's one court case which concerns few dozens of victims. They are also here. There are 20 of them in another facility. And yeah, and we have programs, different programs for each group, and it's wonderful. So if you
Yeah,
have
it's a
questions,
very wholesome and protecting environment for them.
yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
exactly.
Can you elaborate more on like what kinds of activity they enjoy, and then like and their age group? Maybe is there like
Age
a
group, actually, Phoebe, at the very beginning, I didn't have an age group at the very beginning. They could be toddlers, and it would only go until the age of 18.
Mhm.
But then I had to decide that unfortunately, we cannot take younger than 5 or 6, because the workshops that I organize are not possible for kids that young. They have to be at least 5 or 6 years old to stay in a room with an artist who is trying to teach them some art. So the age range now is 6 to 16. And unfortunately, we cannot take children. There are two categories that I don't take anymore. One is younger than 6 years old, and the other category is survivors who are under psychiatric care. For a very simple reason, I did it at the beginning, but I cannot do it. I understood from my mistake is that those survivors, they need medical care. And when they are together with other children, it happened that two of them acted out, and they became dangerous. They became dangerous to themselves, even I can say to others, but then they left the retreats. So I understood that those who are under medication, medication, heavy treatments, and who are in psychiatric care cannot be mixed with children who they all go to therapy, but they are not as impacted as the other ones. You see what I mean? Um, so, which is not a, I mean, I see those who are in psychiatric care, I see them where they are. I go and visit them in psychiatric wards in hospitals, but I cannot bring them here. And the workshops that we choose are animated by art therapists. What is lucky is that when I started to do this 23 years ago, art therapy as such was not a discipline taught in universities. You could not say, I want to learn art therapy. You could learn art, but it was art. It was not, or you could learn therapy. There was no conjunction of both. But lucky enough, it was around 2000 and I think maybe 2005, 2006. One of my friends who was a sculptor who lived in New York, she told me that she is going to study art therapy, sculpture therapy at the university in New York. and that then she will join us with her work. And that is what she did. And as of then, I could have access to therapists who were not only psychotherapists, but also artists who had developed the discipline of art therapy. Art therapy is basically a moment that allows children, in one hand, to express themselves. For example, something that they cannot put words on and say, because it's hard to say, it's hard to find the words. They can do it in a sculpture or they can do it in a drawing. And it actually happened. We did an amazing exhibition of the sculptures one year. We did it in the Senate in Paris. The pieces were absolutely amazing. And it is true that many of them expressed anger, very, very vivid anger. But if you saw the child, he didn't look angry, he looked fine. But then his work was expressing anger. And we also have photography workshops, we have drawing workshops. So they are really moments of expression for children. And what was absolutely amazing was that a few of them discovered passion in photos or in filming, and they have had careers in that direction. They have developed careers in photography or in film, and they have discovered inherent talents that they didn't know about. They were not aware before. So, and horse riding is also a very, very strong and powerful discipline, because we have to remember that these children lost control of their body, of their situation, of their context at some point. And when they are riding a horse, they are totally in control of what the horse is doing. So they take back their control, and the body animal, I would say, dialogue is also very precious. Horses have always been, equine therapy is also a very strong therapy for children with autism. And I saw its benefits with children survivor of abuse, because it's a very beautiful connection that results after the child has known his horse and has rid the horse for a few days. So they are disciplines to express themselves and to take back their control of their body, of their lives. This is the idea behind.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of like horse therapy before this camp. It's very like interesting to know how you have connections with animals and everything. Right.
Yes. Yes, horse therapy is absolutely. Actually, I have to say, one year I took the children, American children, we went with them to one of the most beautiful equine therapy centers, I would say, in the world, which is in 4 hours from New York. It's in this place, which is very cold in winter. Oh, I forgot the name of the town. It's a very interesting town, beautiful town, but very, how can I say it? Not very developed, but very nice. And there is this amazing retreat for equine therapy. And when I went there and I saw the size of the place, I understood that this place is hosting a very big number of children who all had either autism or had been abused. There was another center I took the kids, it was in New Jersey. It was called Pony Power, and it is also about equine therapy. So equine therapy has been really out there as a discipline, as a healing discipline. But as I said at the beginning, they were only thinking of equine therapy for autism and handicapped persons. But now we know that it's very, very helpful also in abused children.
Mm.
Yeah.
So alongside those kind of therapies, what are like have you tried other kinds of therapies?
We have tried, but the kids who come here, they basically all are already in EMDR therapy,
Mm,
basically all of them. So they have the class, I mean, classical EMDR is kind of classical therapy. And when they come here is more about artistic
uh,
expression. And so we also had, for example, now in August, no, not in August, in October, we are going to have a workshop. It's a puppet workshop. We give them tools and they have to build their own puppet. And we tell them that each puppet is them, and then they will make this puppet play a theater and talk in a show. They play with each other. And that is very, very powerful because, again, it's a moment of expression, of a free expression, and it works really tremendously well. So we have had puppet therapy, and I adore puppet therapy because it is, I would say, in my opinion, um, probably the strongest, the most powerful space of expression
mm,
if it's well done. And I'm lucky because I know one of the best puppet therapists in Europe, who does only this, and she's coming to our French summer camp, not summer actually, to our French retreats in October.
um, that's so
Yeah,
cool. It's like
yeah,
the theater and expression and everything.
yes.
Mhm.
Theater expression. They have to write the story, and they have to actually give a role to the puppet that they have created, and the role they give is always very meaningful.
Mm.
And what that puppet says, how he behaves, it's very interesting. Very, very interesting.
Do you think like people now they are people accepting the more artistic kind of therapy more, or do you think it's something that people are not aware of enough currently?
I mean, it is not yet very known,
Mhm.
because I don't know of any other NGOs who is doing, except Innocence in Danger, because of course Innocence in Danger in Austria and in Germany, they do the
Yeah.
same thing. Also in Colombia, the art is a major part of the retreats. But I don't think people are really aware of the power of the healing power of art for abused children. There is art therapy for um, autistic children. There is art for, I believe, I think so, handicapped children. There is art for prisoners, um, but there is no art for children who have been sexually abused. And that is what we noticed that is really beneficial and working. And also, it has happened that sometimes a child reveals something in one of her drawings or sculptures or moments that where we are together, that allow the justice to have an extra information to prosecute. There are very interesting moments. We never know how things will evolve. We don't know what a child may say, may do, but there are moments where they feel so comfortable and so at ease with us and all together that they reveal information that they have not revealed before. It has happened for us to have quite a number of surprises when the kids were here.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a very like good way for them to express themselves and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
so how do you like as you said, it expanded already to the whole world, like in Colombia, Austria. How did you manage to do that? Like,
But
how did you promote and everything?
well, at the beginning, before doing the retreats, we have to have a structure.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
Structure means to be constituted as an NGO, as a non-for-profit. in respect of the national legislations. So before going to summer to artistic retreats in each of those countries, we have constituted Innocence in Danger in Colombia, Innocence in Danger in Germany, in Austria, and they all have directors, and
Mhm.
it is the director who comes to see what we do, for example, in Switzerland, and then goes back to bring the program to her country. So
Ah,
it takes it cannot happen like this, because
mhm.
you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to know the people, you have to have a structure, you have to know where to take the children, and they have to be sponsored. So because they have to be sponsored, you have to be able to raise funds, and to raise funds you have to be a structure. To be a structure, you have to um, have statutes and constitute an NGO. The NGO has to be accepted by the national authority. It may or may not be accepted. It may take 6 months or 2 years before it's accepted and registered as such. So
Mm,
yeah, there is a process, definitely. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. And how do you think it is like all the camps very accessible for the kids to seek help for? And like also the parents, like how can they reach out and everything?
Well, what happens is that the camps are, um, we, amongst the cases that we um, handle in justice in the judicial system of each country, we came upon cases and we decide, we decide that
Mm,
these kids can come to the retreats because they are between 6 and 16, because they are not under psychiatric care, because they are not under the responsibility of the government. Because when children are in the custody of the government, it's impossible to have them travel and come
oh,
to the retreats. So they have to have at least one protecting parent
mhm.
with whom they can travel. And the protecting parent during that period has to have custody of the child. For example, right now we are in one of our retreats and there are children, I wanted them to come, but the child was in the custody of the parent who didn't have the right to travel with the child. So
Oh,
we can't have the child, you see?
mhm.
So yeah. And so basically those who reach out to us for judicial help, it's amongst them that we choose
Mm,
those who can come to the retreats.
okay.
We are the ones who are choosing because we have to make sure that the criteria of retreats are respected for that or that child.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's hard when it's like limited with the parents and because
yeah, yeah.
government. Mhm.
And normally it's very hard when the child is 3 years old,
Ah,
because then you have to have like a kindergarten, and we don't have that facility here.
yeah.
So when they are very young, it's difficult. When they are under psychiatric care, it's difficult. When yeah,
Mhm.
sometimes you can have a child who has health problems. Then again, we cannot take the child because we don't have a hospital here. I mean, we don't have a hospital. It's a big responsibility to bring a child to a surrounding where we don't have easy access to medicine,
Mm,
especially if it's serious. Yeah.
yeah. Mhm. Oh, as you just said that like those camps bring all the kids together and they build like strong friendship. Do you have
Yes.
like some interesting stories that you can share with us?
Well, I have one story which I thought was um, very touching. One of the girls who was with us during one of our summer camps, um, she we never ask questions from the kids who come. We
Mm,
never ask them to tell their stories. They only do it if they want to do it. We are not allowed to say what happened to you or what. So the kids must have spoken to each other themselves, and she had shared her story. And at some point, she had a hearing in court in Paris. And she had shared this with the friends she had made here. And the interesting thing was that even though the kids did not all live in the same city, and even though they all had school, they had asked the parent to take them to Paris, where this court case was happening, and they had taken a day off from school to be with her, to be with their friend, to support, to give her their support, to give her strength.
Mhm.
It was really lovely. This is one very beautiful story, and they were all there, and we all cried. It was so emotionally powerful. And the other story that I really loved to share is that there was a group of, these big men who have tattoos and who are bikers. And maybe one may think they are, um, sometimes one may think too quickly and say they are not tender, but they contacted us and they said that they would like to accompany a child who is going to speak before a court. Uh, so when the child arrives, he feels strong being with these big men with this Harley Davidson motorbikes, and they are very impressive, these men. So I loved the idea. And I asked all our board, they loved the idea. We did it in France, and it worked really well because they took two children who, it was before COVID. After COVID, we haven't started that activity, but they accompanied two different kids to court, and the kids were very scared, but with these men, they were holding these men, they went to court, and all the other bikers were around. It was amazing. It was like a movie, you know um, so these are two um, beautiful moments that I am very happy to share with you. Yeah.
All the bikers, it's like physical support, like
Exactly. Physical support of men who are very strongly built and who look very powerful. And yeah, it was very
that's very
meaningful.
nice of them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm.
Wonderful.
I think
And
that
then,
would be all for our session today.
okay,
Okay, and I'll
wonderful. Thank you, Phoebe.